Imagine waking up at 35, 45, or even 65, and realizing that your life has been moving, but you have not truly been living. You go to work, answer messages, eat meals, talk to people, and repeat the same routine, yet somewhere deep inside, something feels empty. You are tired, but you cannot explain why. You may have stability, responsibilities, even people around you, but your soul feels strangely distant from the life you are living. Then one day you look in the mirror, and the face staring back feels unfamiliar. The eyes look dull, the shoulders feel heavy, and a quiet voice inside asks, "Where did I go?" This feeling is not only a modern problem. The Stoics understood it thousands of years ago. Marcus Aurelius had power, wealth, and responsibility beyond what most people can imagine, yet he still had to remind himself not to be ruled by other people's opinions. Seneca had status and riches, yet he wrestled with anxiety, anger, and the feeling that time was slipping away. Epictetus had no outward freedom in the beginning of his life, yet he discovered a deeper freedom inside the mind. 3 different lives, 1 timeless truth. If your mind is lost, you must begin with the mind. That is where real transformation starts. Not with a dramatic escape from your life, not with blaming the world, not with waiting for perfect conditions. It begins inside. If your mind is scattered, your life will feel scattered. If your mind is poisoned by comparison, fear, regret, and noise, even success will feel empty. But if you begin to train the mind, you begin to rebuild the whole person. This is the first Stoic rule. Fix the mind. Marcus Aurelius wrote that we have power over the mind, not over outside events. That truth sounds simple until you realize how much of your mind has been handed away. Today, most people do not think freely. They react. Their thoughts are shaped by news, social media, comparison, outrage, advertising, other people's expectations, and old fears they never questioned. They wake up and immediately give their attention to the world, then wonder why their inner life feels weak. Your mind becomes a battlefield, and the invasion happens quietly. So the first practice is this: detox the mind. You cannot build a new life with the same old thoughts. You cannot feed your mind mental garbage all day and expect clarity, peace, or strength. Just as a weak body cannot thrive on unhealthy food, a strong mind cannot thrive on endless scrolling, gossip, fear, and distraction. For 7 days, begin your morning differently. For the first 30 minutes, do not give your mind to the phone. Do not let the world speak before your own discipline speaks. Use that time to feed your mind truth. Read philosophy. Read the lives of people who endured hardship and still became stronger. Study a skill that makes you more useful, more focused, more resilient. Do not call it reading, call it training. Every morning, you are either sharpening the weapon of the mind or allowing it to rust. Every scroll, every thought, every reaction, every piece of noise you consume is shaping the person you become. But detox is not enough. You also need direction. Most people say, "I want to be happy," or "I want to be successful." But those words are too vague to rebuild a life. The Stoics did not chase happiness directly. They pursued virtue, discipline, courage, wisdom, and self-command. Happiness was not the target. It was the result of living correctly. So stop asking only, "What do I want to have?" Ask the deeper question, "Who do I want to become?" This question changes everything. If you say, "I want to lose weight," your mind focuses on an outcome. But if you say, "I am becoming someone who honors my body," your identity begins to change. If you say, "I want peace," that is only a wish. But if you say, "I am becoming someone who does not surrender my mind to every disturbance," now you have a direction. Transformation happens when your daily actions begin to match the person you claim you are becoming. Write this down. I am becoming. Then finish the sentence honestly, not with a fantasy about someday, but with a choice for today. I am becoming someone who keeps promises to himself. I am becoming someone who thinks before reacting. I am becoming someone who chooses discipline over comfort. This is not motivational language. This is identity training. The mind follows the identity you repeat through action. The next step is to break the invisible prison. I can't. I'm not good enough. It's too late. These sound like facts when you have repeated them for years, but they are often only walls built from fear. The Stoics understood that we suffer when we give agreement to false impressions. A thought appears, and if you accept it without examination, it becomes your master. But the moment you question it, the wall begins to crack. Write down the 3 beliefs that hold you back most. Then, rewrite each one as a declaration of responsibility. I don't have time becomes I am learning to prioritize what matters. I'm not smart enough becomes I am developing the skills I need. It's too late becomes this moment is still a beginning. You are not lying to yourself. You are refusing to let fear use your own voice against you. This is how you begin fixing the mind. You detox it from noise. You give it direction. You challenge the lies that have been pretending to be truth. And you start building an inner world that serves you instead of sabotaging you. Because your mind is either your greatest weapon or your worst prison. The difference is training. So say this not as a quote, but as a vow. My mind is my kingdom, and I am its sovereign ruler. From this moment on, do not let every headline, every comparison, every fear, and every opinion rule what happens inside you. Begin with the mind. Rebuild the mind. And once the mind begins to return to order, the next step is learning how to train it daily until discipline becomes your nature. To fix the mind, you need more than one moment of motivation. You need a ritual. Every morning, write down 3 thoughts that strengthen you and 3 thoughts that weaken you. Do not do this to sound positive. Do it to become honest. Most people are ruled by thoughts they never examine. They wake up with fear, comparison, resentment, or self-doubt. And because those thoughts feel familiar, they assume those thoughts are true. But a Stoic does not believe every thought simply because it appears. He studies the mind like a guard watching the gate of a city. What is trying to enter? Is this thought useful? Is it true? Does it make me wiser, calmer, braver, more disciplined? Or does it make me weaker, more reactive, more bitter, more afraid? This is not overthinking. This is mental command. Throughout the day, catch the weakening thoughts when they appear. I cannot handle this. I am behind. Nothing works for me. It is too late. Do not let them pass through your mind unchallenged. Replace them with something more disciplined. I can handle the next step. My path does not need to look like someone else's. I can learn what I do not yet know. This moment is still mine to use. Each replacement is a small act of freedom. At night, ask one question. Did my mind serve me today, or did it sabotage me? Be honest. Do not shame yourself. The point is not perfection. The point is awareness. If your mind served you, strengthen that pattern. If it sabotaged you, learn where the weakness began. A warrior does not hate himself for finding a gap in his armor. He repairs it. This is what Marcus Aurelius did in his private reflections. He was not writing to impress an audience. He was training his own judgment. He was reminding himself what mattered, what did not, what was in his control, and what had to be released. That is why journaling, reflection, and disciplined thought are not soft practices. They are the inner work of someone who refuses to be ruled by chaos. When you train the mind this way, you become calmer under pressure. You stop reacting to every insult, delay, fear, or temptation as if it has authority over you. You begin to see the difference between a fact and a story. The fact may be, this is difficult. The story may be, I am doomed. The fact may be, someone criticized me. The story may be, I am worthless. The Stoic separates the two, and in that separation, he finds power. So make this your vow. My mind is my kingdom, and I am its sovereign ruler. Not the news, not social media, not comparison, not fear, not the old voice that tells you to stay small. You may not control every event outside you, but you can begin controlling the way you interpret and respond to those events. And when the mind becomes ordered, the rest of life has a foundation to stand on. But the mind cannot carry you alone if the body is neglected. A foggy body creates a foggy mind. A weak body makes discipline harder. A tired body makes emotions louder. This is why the second Stoic rule is just as important. Fix the body. Your body is not separate from your purpose. It is the vessel that carries your mind through the world. You cannot maintain a strong inner life while constantly abusing the body that supports it. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that when morning came and the body wanted comfort, he was born to act as a human being. He rose not because it was easy, but because duty was greater than laziness. The first practice is nutrition as discipline. Your body is not a trash bin for every impulse. Every meal is a message. It either says, I respect the person I am becoming, or it says, I am willing to trade my future strength for a moment of comfort. This does not mean obsession. It means awareness. Before you eat, ask yourself, will this strengthen me or weaken me? That one question can interrupt years of unconscious living. Food is not only about appearance. It affects energy, mood, focus, patience, and willpower. A person who constantly feeds the body with what drains it will eventually feel the effect in the mind. Stoicism is practical. It does not ask you to hate pleasure, but it does ask you to govern appetite. If you cannot practice discipline with what is on your plate, it will be harder to practice discipline when life demands something greater. Start small. Drink more water. Eat one meal with intention. Choose nourishment instead of automatic comfort. Do not aim for perfection. Aim for command. Each conscious choice teaches the body and mind the same lesson. I am not ruled by impulse. I can choose what serves me. I can become loyal to the person I say I want to be. This is where rebuilding begins to become physical. The mind gives direction, but the body proves whether that direction is real. A person can speak beautifully about discipline, but the body reveals the truth of their habits. So do not only think like a Stoic, begin living like one. Train the mind, respect the body, and let every small act become evidence that you are returning to yourself. The next practice is this. Protect your sleep like self-respect. Many people treat sleep as something optional, something they can steal from when they want more entertainment, more scrolling, more distraction, or one more hour of escape. But every late night has a price. You may not pay it immediately, but you pay it the next morning with a foggy mind, a weaker will, heavier emotions, and less patience for life. Seneca warned that life is not short because time is missing, but because so much of it is wasted. And one of the quietest ways people waste life is by sacrificing tomorrow's strength for tonight's impulse. Sleep is not laziness. It is recovery. It is the place where the body repairs, the mind clears, and the nervous system returns to order. No one builds a disciplined life with a constantly exhausted brain. No one becomes calm, wise, and emotionally steady while treating rest like an enemy. If you want to think clearly, respond with patience, control your emotions, and act with strength, you must give your body the recovery it needs. 7 to 8 hours is not weakness. It is a ritual of preparation, so make sleep a discipline, not an accident. Turn off the noise earlier. Stop feeding your mind fear and comparison before bed. Do not carry the whole world into the last hour of your night. Protect that time like a warrior, protecting his weapon, because your mind is sharper when your body is restored. A tired person reacts faster, complains more, gives in easier, and loses command sooner. A rested person has space, and in that space, Stoic strength becomes possible. The third practice is movement. Emotion lives in the body. Anxiety does not only exist in the mind. It tightens the chest, shortens the breath, and fills the body with restless energy. Anger does not only live in thought. It burns in the muscles and demands release. Sadness does not only speak in words. It weighs on the shoulders and slows the whole person down. If you stay still for too long, emotion becomes stagnant. But when you move, you remind the body and the mind that you are still alive, still capable, still in command. If you are anxious, walk. If you are angry, run. If you feel weak, lift something heavy. If you feel lost, breathe deeply and move until your body remembers strength again. You do not need a perfect gym, expensive equipment, or a dramatic transformation plan. You need 20 minutes of daily movement and enough honesty to stop making excuses. Climb the stairs. Stretch. Do push-ups. Walk outside. Train your legs. Open your chest. Let the body participate in your recovery. Epictetus taught that no great thing is created suddenly. The same is true of physical strength. You do not rebuild the body in one day, and you do not reclaim discipline through one intense workout. You do it through repetition. Small movements repeated daily become identity. Every time you move when comfort wants you still, you send a message to your mind. I am not ruled by laziness. I am still in command. This is why movement is more than exercise. It is proof. Proof that you can keep a promise. Proof that your mood does not decide everything. Proof that even when you feel tired, heavy, or unmotivated, you can still take one disciplined action. The Stoic does not wait until he feels powerful before acting. He acts, and through action, power returns. A broken routine can be rebuilt. A tired body can be strengthened. A scattered mind can become clearer when the body begins to move with purpose. But you must stop treating the body as separate from the soul. What you eat affects the mind. How you sleep affects the mind. Whether you move affects the mind. The body is not a prison for the spirit. It is the vessel through which your purpose must travel. So begin simply. Sleep with respect. Move every day. Choose food with awareness. Do not chase perfection. Chase command. Each small physical discipline is a vote for the person you are becoming. Each conscious choice tells the body, you are not abandoned anymore. I am here. I will take care of you. I will build strength where I once allowed decay. And when you begin to fix the body, something changes beyond appearance. Your confidence becomes quieter. Your emotions become easier to govern. Your mind becomes sharper because it is no longer fighting through exhaustion and neglect. The body becomes a foundation instead of a burden. And once that foundation begins to strengthen, the next practice becomes unavoidable. Choosing discomfort on purpose, so life can no longer break you with discomfort by surprise. The fourth practice for the body is voluntary discomfort. This is one of the most powerful Stoic disciplines because it teaches you to stop fearing difficulty. Most people spend their lives chasing comfort and then wonder why discomfort destroys them so easily. They avoid hunger, cold, effort, silence, discipline, and anything that makes the body protest. But every time you run from discomfort, you train yourself to believe that you are weaker than the moment in front of you. The Stoics practiced hardship on purpose, not because they hated pleasure, but because they wanted to remain free. Seneca would sometimes live simply, eat plainly, and sleep without luxury to remind himself that he could survive without the comforts most people worship. Marcus Aurelius did not build strength in perfect conditions. He carried responsibility through war, illness, pressure, and uncertainty. The lesson is clear. If you only train yourself for comfort, life will break you the moment comfort disappears. Voluntary discomfort is not about punishing yourself. It is about proving to yourself that you can do hard things by choice, so you do not collapse when hard things arrive by force. Take the cold shower. Walk when you would rather sit. Train when motivation is gone. Choose water instead of another excuse. Eat the food that strengthens you instead of the food that only comforts you for 5 minutes. These are small acts, but they send a powerful message to the mind. I do not need everything to be easy in order to remain in command. This matters because discipline is built through evidence. You cannot simply tell yourself you are strong. You must show yourself. Every time you choose the harder good over the easier weakness, you create proof. Every time you keep a promise to your body, your self-respect grows. Every time you resist an impulse, you become less enslaved by impulse. Slowly, you stop seeing yourself as someone who always breaks under pressure. You begin seeing yourself as someone who can endure. Start small. Do not turn this into ego. You do not need extreme challenges to become disciplined. Drink 1 more glass of water. Wake up 10 minutes earlier. Walk for 20 minutes. Stretch when your body feels stiff. Say no to one unnecessary indulgence. Finish one workout even when your mood is not perfect. The goal is not to suffer for attention. The goal is to train the part of you that keeps promises when comfort tries to negotiate. This is how the body becomes a teacher. Hunger teaches restraint. Cold teaches patience. Movement teaches command. Fatigue teaches endurance. Simplicity teaches gratitude. When you practice discomfort intentionally, you discover that many things you feared were not as powerful as you imagined. The body complains, but it adapts. The mind resists, but it learns. The soul becomes quieter because it no longer panics at every inconvenience. And something deeper begins to happen. Your confidence changes. It no longer depends only on praise, appearance, or success. It comes from the private knowledge that you are becoming someone who does what is right, even when it is uncomfortable. That kind of confidence is hard to fake. It is built in small, unseen moments. When you get up, when you train, when you choose discipline, when you refuse to betray yourself for temporary comfort. So write this down not as motivation, but as devotion. My body is my temple, and I am its loyal guardian. You do not need to hate your body to change it. You need to respect it enough to stop abandoning it. Feed it with awareness. Let it rest. Move it daily. Challenge it wisely. The body is not just something you carry through life. It is the vessel through which your purpose must be lived. When you fix the body, you stop living as a divided person. Your mind has direction, and your body begins to support that direction. You feel clearer, stronger, more grounded. But there is still one part of you that must be rebuilt if your transformation is going to be complete. Because a trained mind and a disciplined body are powerful. But if the heart is numb, heavy, or closed, your life will still feel empty. That is why the next Stoic rule is this: fix the heart. The third Stoic rule is this: fix the heart. You can train your mind and discipline your body, but if your heart has gone numb, life will still feel empty. Many people look fine from the outside. They work, provide, smile, answer messages, and keep moving. But inside, they feel disconnected from themselves, from the people around them, and from the life they once hoped to live. That emptiness is not weakness. It is a signal. It means something in you has been ignored for too long. Maybe you build walls to survive disappointment, betrayal, rejection, or years of being misunderstood. At first, those walls protected you, but over time, they did something else. They kept out joy, tenderness, connection, and the part of you that still wants to feel deeply. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself to be like the rock against which the waves break. The rock does not become weak because the waves strike it. It stands firm, and the waters fall still around it. But firmness is not the same as numbness. A strong heart is not one that feels nothing. A strong heart is one that can feel pain without closing forever. So the first practice is this: find your heart again. Sit still with no phone, no music, no distraction, and ask yourself 3 questions. If I could not fail, how would I live? What am I pretending not to care about when, deep down, I still care? And when no one is watching, who am I really? Do not rush the answers. The answers that make your chest tighten may be the ones that matter most. Most people never ask these questions because silence is uncomfortable. Noise is easier, work is easier, scrolling is easier. Staying busy is easier than admitting that something inside you is hungry for truth. But the heart does not return through distraction. It returns when you finally listen. Write down what you hear, even if it feels messy, honest, or painful. Those words may not be random thoughts. They may be the part of you that has been waiting to be heard. The second practice is this: let go of the weight. Your heart may be carrying things that were never meant to become your identity. Anger, guilt, regret, fear, disappointment, old betrayal, old shame. These things may have happened to you, but they are not you. They are stories your mind has replayed so many times that they now feel like home. But a painful story is not a home. It is a chain. Epictetus taught that it is not only what happens to us that hurts, but the way we continue to respond to it. This does not mean the pain was unreal. It means your freedom begins when you stop letting the past keep choosing your present state. Some people hurt you. Some moments changed you. Some decisions still ache. But you do not have to carry the same wound in the same way forever. For the next 30 nights, Write down one thing you are willing to forgive. Forgive a person, forgive yourself. Forgive a season when you did not know better. Forgive a choice made from fear, immaturity, or survival. Not because everything was okay, not because everyone deserves access to you again, but because your heart deserves to breathe without carrying stones from every old battle. Forgiveness is not surrender, it is liberation. It does not mean you remove boundaries. It does not mean you pretend the wound did not happen. It means you stop giving the wound permission to define your future. You can remember without being ruled. You can learn without becoming bitter. You can walk away without hatred. That is heart strength. When you begin to listen to your heart and release what has been weighing it down, something quiet begins to return. You feel again. You care again. You notice what matters again. And once the heart begins to wake up, the next question becomes unavoidable. What will you live for beyond yourself? The third practice for the heart is this: live with purpose. A heart without direction will always become heavy. You may have comfort, routine, money, and people around you, but if your life is only built around surviving the day, something inside will slowly go quiet. The heart was not made only to protect itself. It was made to give, to love, to serve, to create, and to connect with something larger than the self. The Stoics understood this through the idea of human connection. Marcus Aurelius wrote that what harms the hive also harms the bee. In other words, you were not born as an isolated creature, existing only for your own pleasure, fear, or ambition. Your life touches other lives. Your choices affect people. Your strength becomes useful when it becomes service. A heart that lives only for itself eventually becomes numb, but a heart that gives begins to expand. Purpose is not always something you discover in one dramatic moment. Most of the time, purpose is created through action. You do not find meaning by sitting forever and waiting for a sign. You find it by noticing when your soul becomes awake. When do you feel most alive? Is it when you help someone? When you teach? When you build something useful? When you create, protect, encourage, lead, forgive, or bring peace into a room that was full of tension? These moments are not random. They are clues. Many people feel empty because they have stopped listening to those clues. They chase what looks successful, but ignore what feels meaningful. They build a life that impresses others, but does not nourish the heart. They choose safety so often that they forget what sincerity feels like. But the heart cannot be healed by image. It is healed by truth. It asks, what am I here to give? Who can I serve? What kind of person do I become when no one is watching? Start small. Help one person without needing attention for it. Say one honest word you have been avoiding. Create one thing that carries your real voice. Offer one act of kindness with no hidden demand. Purpose does not always begin with a great mission. Sometimes it begins with one sincere action that reminds you your life still has weight, value, and direction. This matters because the heart becomes stronger when it is used rightly. If you only protect your heart, it becomes closed. If you only chase pleasure, it becomes restless. If you only seek validation, it becomes dependent. But when you use your heart to serve something worthy, it becomes steady. Service does not drain a healthy heart. It gives the heart a reason to keep beating with courage. This does not mean sacrificing yourself until nothing is left. Stoic purpose is not people-pleasing. It is not rescuing everyone, carrying burdens that are not yours, or confusing love with self-abandonment. True service comes from strength, not emptiness. You give because your heart is awake, not because you are begging to be needed. You help without losing yourself. You love without becoming a slave to approval. So ask yourself honestly, what have I been pretending not to care about? What gift have I buried because I was afraid of being judged? What person needs my presence, my honesty, or my forgiveness? What work makes me feel more human when I do it? These questions bring the heart back to life because they move you from numbness into responsibility. When the mind is trained, it gives direction. When the body is disciplined, it gives strength. But when the heart is healed, it gives fire. Without the heart, discipline becomes cold. Without the heart, success becomes empty. Without the heart, even a strong body and sharp mind can feel like they are walking toward nothing. Purpose is the flame that makes the whole life worth rebuilding. Write this down and mean it. My heart does not just beat to survive. It beats to love, to serve, and to connect. Let that become more than a sentence. Let it become a practice. Live today in a way that makes your heart less numb and more awake. Do one thing that connects you to meaning. Do one thing that reminds you that you are not here merely to exist. And once the heart begins to return, the 3 Stoic rules begin to connect. The mind becomes your compass. The body becomes your vessel. The heart becomes your flame. In the next part, we will bring these 3 together and see why real transformation only happens when all 3 move as one. Now you can see that these 3 Stoic rules do not stand alone. Fix the mind, fix the body, fix the heart. They form one circle of rebirth. If the mind is poisoned, the body loses direction. If the body is neglected, the mind becomes foggy and weak. If the heart is numb, even discipline begins to feel empty. But when all 3 begin to move together, a person becomes harder to break. The mind is your compass. It tells you where to aim, what to believe, what to reject, and how to interpret what happens. Without a trained mind, life becomes noise. You react to every opinion, compare yourself to every stranger, and mistake fear for truth. But when the mind is disciplined, it becomes clear. It says, this is within my control. This is not. This deserves my energy. This does not. That clarity gives the rest of your life direction. The body is your vessel. It carries your discipline into the world. You cannot live a strong life while treating the body like an afterthought. Sleep, movement, food, and discomfort are not small things. They are daily proofs of self-respect. Every time you train the body, you remind the mind that you can keep promises. Every time you choose strength over impulse, you become more trustworthy to yourself. The heart is your flame. It gives meaning to the discipline. Without the heart, self-improvement becomes cold and mechanical. You may become productive, organized, and physically strong, yet still feel hollow inside. The heart reminds you why you are rebuilding, not just to look better, earn more, or impress people, but to live with love, purpose, service, and connection. A life without heart may function, but it does not truly feel alive. This is why transformation is not about fixing one part of yourself while ignoring the rest. A calm mind needs a strong body. A strong body needs a living purpose. A healed heart needs a disciplined mind to protect it from old patterns. Everything is connected. If one collapses, the journey becomes unstable. But when the mind, body, and heart move in harmony, you begin to feel aligned from the inside out. Think of a man who hits rock bottom. He is burned out at work, distant from his family, tired in his body, and quietly ashamed of what his life has become. At first, he thinks the problem is only external. Maybe he needs more money, a new job, a new relationship, or a different environment. But slowly he realizes the real work begins within. His mind is full of noise. His body is neglected. His heart is carrying weight he has never faced. So he starts small. In the morning, he reads Marcus Aurelius instead of reaching for his phone. He writes down the thoughts that weaken him and replaces them with thoughts that serve him. That is the mind returning to order. Then he begins walking every day, sleeping earlier, eating with more awareness, and taking cold showers, not to punish himself, but to remind himself that comfort is no longer his master. That is the body returning to strength. Then he turns toward the heart. He forgives what he can. He stops pretending he does not care about what still matters. He calls someone he has avoided. He serves quietly. He helps without needing applause. He begins to feel again. Not all at once, not perfectly, but honestly. And over time, people around him notice something different. His life has not become perfect, but his energy has changed. He is calmer, more grounded, less desperate, more alive. That is the power of these 3 rules when they become practice instead of theory. Stoicism is not something you admire from a distance. It is something you live in the morning, at the table, in the gym, during conflict, in silence, in forgiveness, in the ordinary choices that nobody sees. Transformation is not a speech. It is alignment repeated until it becomes identity. Marcus Aurelius battled pressure and uncertainty. Seneca wrestled with fear and weakness. Epictetus lost outward freedom and still found inner freedom. None of them were perfect. That is the point. Stoicism was never about becoming flawless. It was about becoming faithful to the path, even while still being human. You do not need to rebuild everything overnight. You only need to begin returning to yourself. Train one thought. Keep one promise to your body. Release one old weight from the heart. Then do it again tomorrow. One choice, one step, one act of discipline, one act of courage. That is how a life is rebuilt. Mind, body, heart, compass, vessel, flame. When these three move together, you stop merely surviving and begin becoming whole again. And in the final part, we will bring this transformation to its conclusion not as an idea, but as a decision you must make now. Now, the question is not whether you understand the three rules. The question is whether you will live them. Fix the mind, fix the body, fix the heart. These are not soft ideas. They are the foundation of a life rebuilt from the inside out. Fix your mind, and you stop being ruled by noise, fear, comparison, and old beliefs. Fix your body, and you give your soul a stronger vessel to move through the world. Fix your heart, and you remember that life is not only about surviving, producing, and appearing strong. It is also about meaning, love, service, and connection. You were not born merely to repeat the same tired routine until the years disappear. You were not born to wake up empty, move through the day on autopilot, and call that living. The Stoic path does not promise an easy life, but it offers something better, a stronger self, a self that can think clearly, act with discipline, endure discomfort, forgive what must be released, and serve something greater than ego. That is where real rebirth begins. Marcus Aurelius was not perfect. Seneca was not perfect. Epictetus was not perfect. Their power was not in flawlessness. Their power was in returning to the path again and again. One thought corrected, one action disciplined, one desire mastered, one wound released, one day lived with more courage than the day before. That is how transformation happens, not through fantasy, but through loyalty to small daily choices. So do not wait for the perfect moment. Do not wait until life becomes easier, until your motivation returns, until the world finally gives you permission to change. Begin now. Read instead of scrolling. Walk instead of sinking deeper into heaviness. Sleep like someone who respects tomorrow. Choose food that strengthens you. Forgive one thing that has been poisoning your heart. Help one person. Tell the truth. Keep one promise to yourself. That is enough to begin. Write this deeply into your mind. I am the author of my own transformation. I am the warrior of my mind, the guardian of my body, and the protector of my heart. Do not say it as decoration. Say it as a vow. Your mind is your compass. Your body is your vessel. Your heart is your flame. When these three are divided, you drift. When these three are aligned, you become difficult to break. Take a deep breath. Feel the quiet fire still alive inside you. It may be small, but it is not gone. You do not need to become someone else. You need to return to the strongest, clearest, most honest version of yourself. The old life does not need to own you anymore. There is a new life waiting, but it will not rise unless you do. Your journey does not begin when everything is easy. It begins when you decide you are ready to grow stronger. So, if this message reached something real in you, do not only watch it, live it. Take one step today. And in the comments, write one promise to yourself. I begin my transformation today.